All right, we are live on YouTube, and I have James Townsend on, and I am super excited to talk to you. And you have quite the resume, and I'm not going to obviously make you feel super uncomfortable going over,
Yeah.
but a couple of things that, like, former NFL wide receiver, track athlete, current owner of the Brave One gym and training program, also bringing multiple CrossFit Games athletes to the games, and I'm just super excited for you to talk a little bit about things. So first off, James, I want you to introduce yourself and kind of like what got you into the world of CrossFit.
Um, Hello, everybody. My name is James Townsend. I'm the owner of the Brave One Gym, TBOTRaining. As she had mentioned, I have a background in football and track. Um, it's kind of funny. My athletic career started off at 3 years old. I'm the youngest of four, so I'm the baby boy. So I get to follow around all my siblings and do what they wanted to do. So my siblings are 5 and 6 years older than me. So funny story is when I was three, my two older brothers would bet their friends that their 3 year old brother could beat them in a foot race, and I would beat them in a race. So where I'm from, I'm originally from the South Bronx in the projects, and where I'm from, you know, racing out in the street was like that was like our track meet. That was like our Olympics. So and that's how you knew and that you were somebody special or somebody that was gifted naturally and anything. And that's where you knew like you had something,
Yeah.
right? And so that kind of like was the wind to go ahead and push me in a different direction than others have went that come from that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my credit and a lot of my gratitude go to my two older brothers because they're the ones who pushed me towards um, going the athlete route, being a football player and then running track in high school, becoming an All-American in track and football, then ultimately going to the University of Iowa, playing as a true freshman, um, a brief stint with the Chicago Bears. And then after being with the Chicago Bears, got into boxing. I always had a boxing background. Growing up, my uncle was a black belt in karate and kickboxing and jujitsu and all that stuff. So, like I said, I would be the young one getting into all the athletic stuff. And so after brief stint with the Chicago Bears, I got into training UFC fighters for boxing. But then I wanted to keep my training up. And so living out in LA, I saw the CrossFit Games on the news in 2010, and I was like, oh, okay, they're doing Olympic weightlifting. Then 2013, then it was like this big crowd. And I was like, oh man, that looks fun. And it was 13.5, which was the 2 rounds
Oh,
thrusters and chest to bars. Remember that?
uh-huh. That was
Yeah.
about that was about
Yeah, and I was watching Khalifa, Froning, Sam Briggs, and Camille, and I was like, "Damn, this is dope." And so that's when it led me to walk away from the corporate world of being a personal trainer or just working for somebody, and then me having the knowledge and experience that I have growing up and coming through the football realm and everything. That's when I decided to broaden my my fitness education and everything, and then it started the evolution of what you guys see on Instagram now of James Townsend.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And honestly, your story is just phenomenal. And it's just crazy how, as a CrossFitter now, you broaden your horizons. But I'm going to be honest, I think your background is why you're so good at bringing the value that you do to CrossFit. And I think that back in 2011, 2012, 2013, CrossFit was how people trained to get better at
Right,
CrossFit. At that
right,
point, it was just do more CrossFit. And now we have changed that so much with what CrossFit created for all of us is that we've seen this genetic potential in people that now we can't just do CrossFit and get better. We actually have to break down CrossFit into different modalities. And yes,
absolutely.
at that point we were doing that, right? We were constantly varied. But now it's like, all right, you always crush Metcons, that have toes to bar and burpees. Like, we got to get you better at doing Metcons that have snatches and these other things in it. So it's like it's really cool seeing that evolution. So obviously you went to LA and now you're back in Iowa, which is where your gym is. What brought you back to Iowa? Just that you just wanted to be back where you just enjoyed Iowa better?
No, well, the cost of living is cheaper.
Oh yeah, that's true. LA,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
having kids. Me and my wife and our two girls, we were living out in LA, and it was just us. We didn't know anybody. We had our friends and everything, but raising a family out there, because we came up with the market. Me and my wife, we came out there in 2010.
mhm,
So we saw the rise of LA.
yeah.
And I'm originally from New York, so I know, I'm a city kid, so I could get around and all that. I don't mind the traffic and everything. Like, I know how to maneuver past the traffic and all that, right? But it's just having kids and living in LA. It's just too much, and especially when you don't have help,
100%. Yeah.
from kids. And then, like I said, the cost of living, 2,500 a month for daycare downtown LA. That's insane.
It's
So
I think I was there around the same time as you were, because I actually moved to California for a short period of time
mhm.
around 2012-ish, and I was living in Encinitas, California, which is San
Okay,
Diego.
yeah,
I
yeah.
actually went visited Dogtown CrossFit like 2 or 3 times and
Hmm.
worked with Bestie on some gymnastic stuff. It was like a 2-hour drive, but it was just too expensive for me. So here I am. I call Florida poor man's California. That's really what it is. That's really what it
Yeah,
is. It's poor man's California, and now everybody's flocking here anyways.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so kind of getting into what I want to do today is I obviously want to give our listeners some value, and you have a ton of value in the world of explosive strength and power. And that's really what gravitated me towards you, because I'm like, I need to figure out some things of myself. But you honestly, I think that one of the biggest things that as I mentioned, is that with CrossFit, like, we can be really good at just doing CrossFit Metcons, but at some point, if you want to get better, we have to start to pick apart those weaknesses. And for you, I think that you bring this explosive strength and power to the scene. So, what are some keys that you see or that you use with your athletes for helping to fine tune and develop those motor skills for the higher end power output stuff?
Well, one, I break down the movements for them. I believe in taking athletic movement and allowing them to understand why we are in this athletic movement and why we are doing it, and then why you are doing this Olympic weightlifting movement, which is a power movement, right? And why you want to have your feet in a narrow position, right? So it's all about being bigger, faster, stronger, right? When you win football, you want to be the bigger, faster, stronger wide receiver, running back, linebacker, defensive back, now quarterbacks, right? And linemen, right? And so my coach at the University of Iowa was big on that motto: bigger, faster, stronger, being able to get his athletes to apply maximum force into the ground to be able to get the maximum strength out of your pull, so that when I'm lining up into a 2-point stance in my wide receiver stance, or a 3-point stance to run a 10, 20, or 40-yard time to get a fast time,
Mhm.
it needs to be fast,
Yep.
right off the block, right? So that's what you're training for. So when you're training these movements, right, being in that narrow position, which is hip width, or just inside of hip width, which is the power position, right? Deadlift, which is the conventional stance, right? You want to, it'll allow you to apply that force into the ground to get the maximum strength out of your pull, which will give you a higher number for your power clean or your power snatch, and even a higher jump for a vertical jump, or a box jump, or a broad jump, right? You're not going to stand your feet in shoulder width or squat distance to get maximum force or maximum distance in a jump, or maximum height in a vertical jump, right? That's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Right. So if I tell you, all right, I need you to line your feet up, hip width or just inside of hip width. Okay. Be nice and tight. dig in there and I want you to try to touch the ceiling, right? Then now I want you to go into that same stance and apply that into your setup for your power clean. Nice and tight, knuckles down, lats tight, okay? And I want you to keep the barbell nice and tight to your body. Then I will allow that athlete to do those two movements, a standing vertical jump and a power clean, and in a squat with position in their setup, and allow them to see the difference in the maximum results.
Got it. So what I'm basically hearing to start is that essentially having the right starting position is important. And I'm going to be honest, I guarantee you that most people are not focusing on that, because what are they typically focusing on is, as a coach myself in CrossFit, we're looking at safety. So we're looking at a person's mobility, and we're adjusting for like, okay, where is their back angle staying flat? Where is this happening? Which is the right thing in some cases. But the second piece of what I was going to say is sometimes taking away that external load of, okay, can't get into a good position with the barbell. Let's take that away. Let's work on your vertical jump, because now we're going to get you better at jumping and being more explosive. And I'm going to be honest, most people aren't doing that. They're not taking the time. So
no, because in the realm of CrossFit, everybody is watching what the elites are doing, right? And saying, oh, okay, to do that. You see the way he set up? I need to do that. And not realizing that works for Justin. Let's try to do what works for you, but also let's understand that this is a power clean. Yeah. If you're looking to gain power, if you're coming to me and saying, all right, I want to get more explosive and I need more strength in my power cleans. My power right now is 275 and I can't get over it. All right, let me see you set up. His feet wide, he's catching it into his fingers. He's not keeping the hook grip. He's letting it crash on him. Okay. Well, the reason why I started doing this is because, I see the way Justin Madera set up. All right. But you want to get more power, right? I understand, depending on people's mobility and femurs, long femurs and everything, right? We know about the long arms and everything, right? Certain setups, certain genetic makeups, right? But when we're coming back to what we're working on, the movements, that's what we need to focus on. Mm-hmm. Now you need to throw out, all right, I don't have the mobility or this is conventional and this and that. We need to throw that out and focus on just the said movement right now. Power clean. We're looking to get more explosive and we're looking to gain more power. So how do we do that? Narrow position. Why we want to be in a narrow position is because we're looking to apply maximum force. Yeah. You're not going to be in a squat distance position for a broad jump or a vertical jump. No. So when you're in a power position, which is Olympic weightlifting, these two movements, cleans and snatches, are power movements.
Got it.
So it's the same thing. If you're doing a vertical jump or a broad jump, that is a power movement. Mm-hmm. Right? You're applying as much force into the ground to jump as high and to jump out as far. Mm-hmm. And then when you have that athlete do that over 3 or 4 times, then by the next day, it's flying up now, and now I'm catching it better, and now my numbers is I wish I would have known about this longer. The reason why is because nobody is teaching that. Everybody is teaching the conventional setup way, but not really focusing on the said movement.
Got it. So that's awesome, and I think that's a really important tip. The next thing that I kind of want to cover with this too, which is really important, is that like a lot of us obviously are driven in CrossFit. And I think that another thing is the importance of understanding like the central nervous system taxing factor of power movements, and obviously applying, because people are going to listen to this and be like, oh man, I got to start doing more jumping, more this. What is your recommendation for adding in specific explosive strength and power training into a person's routine for like getting optimal results, where they're getting enough recovery in? Like, how often should we be training these explosive movements? Like, how many times per week would you recommend it, or is there really a limit to that? Can we overtax our central nervous system? Because people are doing it, and then we can go into where they do it wrong, right? They're freaking doing it after they just did a 20-minute Metcon, and now they're trying to, express maximum power on a power clean. It's probably not going to be the best. And for some people it might be, but just what is your recommendation on training frequency and volume for like training explosive power and strength for most people?
I would say 3 to 4 times a week, but it needs to be programmed well pertaining to you, the athlete.
Right.
So your body can get used to it. When you're doing power cleans, you could pair up a plyometric movement right along with it. Power cleans, dumbbell squat jumps, right? That's your power movement for the day. You could add it into your warm up. You could go continuous broad jumps into a wall ball toss broad jump, right? That's firing up the fast twitch muscles in your body, right? Yeah. Wednesdays, you could go on to running sprints, right? Not too many people. Everybody want to think, all right, I need to run for 30 minutes. I need to run 8 by 400 meters, 6 by 200 meters, 4 by 800. Everybody's thinking that, but if you want to gauge the speed and the power and the explosiveness, you need to do 10 by 55 meter runs.
Yep.
10 by 40 yard meter runs, 10 by 60 yards, right?
Yep.
To keep that fired up. But then also you are doing power clean. So whatever it is that's in your programming, know that you are doing power movements, because your Olympic weightlifting is power movements.
Yeah. So this is awesome, because what I just asked you led me into like a great thing for people, is that when most people think about being explosive and developing power, they're thinking of 2 things: clean and jerks and snatches. They're not doing these primers, these warm-ups, these sprints, these things. And these are the things that the top level athletes are doing and getting better. They're thinking more thrusters, more burpees, more cleans, more barbell cycling. And all that stuff is great for getting you frequency and obviously getting you more comfortable, but it's not going to build that top end strength as doing those sprints and things like that. And it's where, when we talk about overtraining and stuff like that, people can get very easily overtrained mentally by constantly going in and trying to 1 rep max their power clean every single week, rather than being like, let's take the barbell away and work on some dumbbell squat jumps. Not as sexy, also much more effective and less stressful on the central nervous system, which is why I mentioned that, because I think that too many people end up injured, and it's why they don't want to do these things, because they're like, well, I get injured. Well, you shouldn't be doing heavy power cleans every single time. Working on movements is really, really important. So I love that. Now, when it comes to like with the difference between training for, I'm a CrossFitter and I am the girl, and because a lot of us are out there on the minute everything. I am on the minute everything. All right. So when it comes,
I love programming those.
Yeah. I mean, I love on the minute, but I know that also for developing strength and power, what is your recommendation on that? I mean, is that effective? Is that actually blunting our ability to develop those fast twitch muscle fibers when we're doing things on the minute? Or should we be doing, those 2 to 3 minute rests? Because I'm that girl. I am more of an endurance athlete. And a lot of us out there that have been doing CrossFit for a while are, where it's like, you feel recovered after 30 seconds. So what is your recommendation when you're trying to develop those top end muscle fibers? Should we be doing those 2 to 3 minutes of rest, even though physically we don't feel tired?
I was like, everything goes into me. I'm a big believer in everything goes into how you feel. But then also when you're training top end speed and your body is not used to it, you have to do those 2 to 3 minute rests in between.
Yeah.
Right. Until you get your body, until you into, let's say, the 5th week of your cycle, then, all right, I'm running for 40 seconds. Boom, I can rest for 20 seconds. I can run for 40 seconds. Boom, I can rest for 20 seconds. But what is the tempo of those sprints? Right? A lot of people think you need to run 100% on your sprints all the time. No, 75%, 80% stride sprints is very well good for you to be able to, let's say me, I'm my fastest 100 time is 10:29 ever, right? So I'm not going to be running 100% all the time throughout the week when I'm getting ready for a track meet. It's going to be 70 to 80, maybe 85%, right? Keeping my body primed, because in the back of your mind, you got to be able to train to keep yourself healthy.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
For you to be able to go 100% at the end.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the same way with training weightlifting or CrossFit. You could stay at 80%. You don't need to be going 90, 95% on your lifts all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love
Right.
that.
And then, because then once you're ready, you are ready. Your body is ready.
Yeah. I love that. That's perfect. That was great answer for that. Another question I had written down that a lot of athletes or a lot of people ask me is like, when it comes to power and speed versus raw strength, like those are two very different things. And size, I mean, what is your recommendation there? Like, is it about getting bigger to get more powerful? Like, do you need to develop that raw strength, or is
Yeah.
it completely separate?
It's it's the genetic makeup, right? You have a lot of bigger guys than me, but they can't move the barbell like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people see my legs, they're like a cheetah. I got cheetah legs,
Yeah. How
right?
much do you weigh, by
But
the way? How much do you weigh?
200,
Yeah, how tall are you?
6 feet.
Yeah, you're not a very like you're not a big like you're not built like a strong like you are
Right,
very very strong, and
right,
your size does not look like you're someone that's just like massive, right? You like look
right,
like if I didn't
right.
know how tall you were, that's why I asked. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so strength and size is
No,
not the
strength. No, it's there's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot of big guys out there, but they can't move. They won't be able to do a 315 power clean.
Mhm.
They won't be able to do a 265 power snatch.
Mhm.
It's not so much on the body size. Genetic makeups is the main answer to that,
Yeah.
right? So, with my body size and everything, I have a track body. You know, uh, I'm like 5, maybe 4% body fat, right? But I'm fast twitch dominant, right? Track athletes and football players. We are one of the most powerful, strongest athletes out there.
Yep.
And it just, size doesn't get you the power. That genetic makeup of what are you, type 1 or type 2? Because you can't hide that.
Yeah.
Right? If you are a big guy, if you're massive, if you're like, 250, but your biceps are like 30 inches and everything, and your traps are here and everything, but you could be a type 1, you could be a slow twitch athlete.
Yep.
There are some bigger guys like, that size that are type 2, but, being bigger won't necessarily mean you'll be able to move the barbell well as well as also, right?
Yeah.
Technique and form comes into play too.
Yep.
That's huge,
I
right?
think like bodybuilding is a great example of that. Like a lot of
Oh,
bodybuilders
yeah.
super big, but they're like not going to lift as much. So, but I do like that because I think that a lot of people in our sport also are like, I just got to get bigger to get my snatch up. Well, you might want to get bigger to get be able to handle mass. Obviously, is going to support you better, but it's not
Right.
always about getting bigger. Sometimes it's about getting stronger.
Yep.
So kind of as I'm kind of like looking at, I wanted to get a couple of things out, but I also want to talk more about what you're doing in this space. And because that was mostly my main questions for you is, so you have a gym, correct? The Brave
Mhm.
One gym. You also
Yes.
have the Brave One training, and you have an upcoming training camp. You do one-on-one coaching. Like, what is your like mission right now? Like, because you are, I'm excited to learn more about you in general. And but what is your mission right now and what you're doing? What are you trying to achieve?
It's all about my legacy. You know, and when I say legacy, it's about how can I make the next generation better, and generation after that. How can I leave this? How can I make my mark on society and this world when I leave this world, this place? You know, I have kids now, and I have to make sure that, you know, the day the Most High calls me home, I know that they are in a better spot mentally, emotionally, and physically. But then also, they can contribute to the world because their father showed them how to be humble, right? How to love others, but then also how to be brave, strong, and confident for themselves in all measurables of society and life,
Yeah.
right? So my main mission is to put myself second and to put others first, because the Most High didn't bless me to just be all about me. He blessed me to have this knowledge, this strength to be this athlete that I was before in football and track and everything, and still be able to do the things that I can do, you know, all thanks to him, and the knowledge that I continue to grow each day with. But all of that is not for me to just hone into myself. It's for me to put out there into the universe, to put out there into the world, to put out there to people like you and to the viewers and to people that I come into contact with. Most importantly, my wife and my kids, so that they can, you know, put it to their kids and their kids and their kids, and then others can, you know, it could just become a ripple effect.
Yep.
You know, and that's how we can make this world a better place. That's how I can make this world a better place. You know, is to be able to create a better, be able to lead people into the future so that they can create a better one.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to say that, because without ever hearing you tell me that, I felt that. Like, I'm going to be honest, I listened to a lot of your podcasts that you've been interviewed with, and listening to your story, knowing so much, you know, not about you, but like listening to little things, watching your kids grow up, the fact that your kids are in the gym so young and they're learning things. Look at that one right there.
Right.
They are growing up with a different outlook on life and what it looks like to be fit and healthy and have a family that, like, so I just think that it is awesome. And I'm just so excited to see what's to come for, you know, the TBO training and all of it. You know, you are bringing up some phenomenal athletes, and I love the fact that you are willing to come on here and talk to my listeners about this, because we all just want to be fit and healthy and happy.
Right.
And I know that they can learn a lot of value for you. So I appreciate you coming on here and doing this for me and for them.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to close up shop. So just kind of want to like kind of go over a couple of things that I definitely think that the listeners need to make sure they hear from you is focusing on the importance of developing the right stance for developing power. Narrow stance is best. Sometimes that might mean taking away the barbell and working on being more explosive. Learning how to find the right dosage of training that allows you recovery. So somewhere about 3 to 4 times a week, and making sure that you're not just focusing on snatch and clean and jerk, and incorporating some of those more basic movements, sprinting, dumbbell squats, things like that. And that size does not always equal strength and power, that we can become more powerful athletes in our current body by expressing our full genetic potential and by working on those fast twitch muscle fibers. So anything else that you want to add?
Nope, that's it. That's good.
Awesome. All right, cool. Thanks so much, James. And I look forward to chatting with you a little bit more after this. So just stay
Thank
out
you.
of 2 minutes.